horse beneath you is dying. You can feel it in the rhythm of its lungs, that wet rattle, that stagger between strides. 3 days without sleep, 2 arrows in its flank, and still it runs, because you told it to, because the Khan told you to. Behind you, a city is burning. You don't look back.
Do not stop.
You were taught not to look back. You were taught that turning your head loses you a half second, and a half second is the difference between carrying a message and becoming one. Your head on a Khwarezmian spear, your name forgotten before sunset. The wind tastes like ash and iron. Your lips are cracked. Your eyes are bleeding from the dust. You are 11 years old. In your saddlebag is a single arrow, black-fletched, silent. The Khan's seal pressed into the shaft. You don't know what it says. You will never know. You are not meant to know. You are meant to deliver it, and then ride back. And here's the part no one tells you about being a Mongol arrow messenger. The cities you ride past today, the markets, the libraries, the children playing in the streets. By the time you return on this same road next month, none of them will exist. Because that arrow in your saddlebag, that's the order. But to understand how an 11-year-old boy ends up carrying the death warrant of a civilization, we have to go back. You were born on the steppe, not in a city, not in a village. In a felt tent the Mongols call a ger, on grass so vast and so empty that the sky becomes the only landmark you ever know. Your mother gave birth to you on a horse blanket in the dead of winter, with wolves howling beyond the firelight. And your first lullaby was the sound of a whetstone against steel. This is the world that made the Mongols. Not cruelty, not bloodlust, geography. The steppe does not forgive. It does not feed the weak. It does not warm the slow. By the time you can walk, you can ride. By the time you can ride, you can shoot. By the time you are 6, you have killed your first wolf with a bow your father carved from horn and sinew before you were born. You are not a child here. You are a small soldier waiting to grow. And then, one morning, when you are 9 years old, the riders come. They come in silence. They always come in silence. That's the first thing the world doesn't understand about the Mongols. They don't scream. They don't blow horns. They appear over the ridge like a black tide, and by the time you see them, the decision has already been made. But these riders are not enemies. They are family. They wear the wolf banner. They have come for your father, for your uncles, for every man between 14 and 60 in your clan. The Khan is calling. Temujin, born Temujin, the boy whose father was poisoned, the boy whose tribe abandoned him, the boy who hunted marmots with his brother to keep his mother alive in the dirt. They call him Genghis Khan now, the universal ruler, and he is not asking. You watch your father lift you onto his shoulders one last time. You watch him ride away into the dust. You will not see him again for 4 years. And here's what your mother whispers to you that night by the fire, with tears she will never show in daylight. She tells you that you are next. You become a scout at age 10. The Mongol military is not what the storybooks say. There are no clumsy hordes. There is no chaos. The army Genghis Khan builds is the most disciplined force the world has ever seen, and it begins with the children. You learn to ride for 16 hours without dismounting. You learn to sleep in the saddle. You learn the trick the Mongols use that breaks every army that faces them. You ride with 5 horses on a tether, and when one tires, you leap to the next mid-gallop, never slowing, never stopping. The Mongol cavalry can cover 100 miles in a single day. No army on earth can match it. No army on earth even believes it's possible. You learn to drink mare's milk fermented into airag. You learn to slit a vein on your horse's neck and drink the blood when food runs out, then seal the wound with a paste of dung and ash so the horse keeps running. You learn that hunger is a discipline, that thirst is a discipline, that fear is a discipline. You learn the bow, the Mongol composite bow, layers of horn, wood, and sinew, glued and aged for years. It draws heavier than an English longbow, but is half the size. You can fire it from horseback, in any direction, at full gallop, including backward over your shoulder. The famous Parthian shot. By age 11, you can put 3 arrows into a melon at 50 paces while your horse runs flat out. This is not a skill. This is your body now. And then, one cold morning in 1219, the older boys come for you. They put you on a horse you have never ridden. They hand you a black-fletched arrow. They tell you that you have been chosen as an arrow messenger. The fastest, the smallest, the most expendable. They tell you the Khan has declared war on the Khwarezmian Empire, the richest civilization in Central Asia. They tell you a Khwarezmian governor named Inalchuk has insulted the Khan, killed his envoys, shaved the beard of his ambassador, and sent him back as a warning. And they tell you what the Khan said when he heard. He climbed a mountain alone. He prayed for 3 days and 3 nights, and when he came down, he said only one sentence: "I will make their land so empty that a virgin with a sack of gold can walk from one end to the other and meet no one." You are about to find out he meant it. Here's what they don't teach you in the histories. Genghis Khan does not love killing. He uses terror the way a blacksmith uses fire, precisely, deliberately, never wastefully. The rule is simple, and it is a rule he never breaks. If a city opens its gates, he spares it. The merchants keep their shops, the scholars keep their books, the children keep their mothers. He even lowers their taxes, because a living city pays more than a dead one. If a city resists, if even one arrow flies from its walls, the city is erased, not punished, erased. Every man killed, every woman taken, every wall pulled down, every well filled with bodies, the name removed from maps. This is not cruelty for its own sake. This is mathematics. Because the next city, 300 miles away, hears what happened, and the next city opens its gates. You are the messenger who delivers this choice. You ride into Bukhara at dawn, the jewel of the Silk Road. Domes of turquoise and gold, libraries holding the wisdom of the Persian world, poets, mathematicians, astronomers, a city that has stood for 1,000 years. You hand the arrow to the gatekeeper. You ride out before the sun is fully up. Bukhara resists. 3 weeks later, you ride back through what used to be Bukhara, and there is nothing. The walls are rubble. The libraries are smoke. The Khan stands in the central mosque on a horse, and you hear him speak the words that the Persian historian Juvayni will record forever. "I am the punishment of God. If you had not committed great sins, God would not have sent a punishment like me upon you." You are 11 years old, and you understand him. You watch Samarkand fall. Samarkand, the city Alexander the Great called the most beautiful he had ever seen. Walls 50 feet thick, a garrison of 100,000. The Khwarezmian Shah swears it cannot be taken. It falls in 5 days. Because the Khan does not fight cities the way other generals do. He drives the captured peasants of the surrounding villages in front of his army as a human shield. He builds siege engines from local lumber, designed by Chinese engineers he conquered 10 years earlier. He diverts rivers. He poisons wells. He spreads false news through fake refugees that an even larger Mongol army is coming from the east. By the time Samarkand surrenders, half its defenders have already deserted. The Khan executes the soldiers and spares the artisans. The artisans are sent east to Mongolia. The soldiers are decapitated and their heads stacked into pyramids outside the city gates. You ride past those pyramids. You don't flinch. You stopped flinching last year. But here's the moment you remember, the moment that will haunt you for the rest of your life. You are sent to deliver an arrow to a small village outside Merv, a village so small it isn't even on the maps. The order is simple. The village is suspected of harboring Khwarezmian spies. The arrow says, "Empty it." You ride in. You hand the arrow to the headman, an old man with a white beard and kind eyes who reminds you of your grandfather. He reads it. He nods. He does not weep. He simply asks you very quietly in broken Mongolian, "How long do we have?" You tell him, 3 days. He thanks you. He offers you bread. You take it. You eat it sitting on his doorstep while his granddaughter, maybe 7 years old, brings water for your horse. She has dark eyes. She is not afraid of you. She doesn't know yet. You ride away. You do not look back. 3 days later, the army comes through. You know what happens. You don't need to be told. That night, in your tent, for the first time since you were 9 years old, you cry. You cry for the bread. You cry for the girl. You cry for the man who said thank you to the boy who killed his entire bloodline. And you understand something the Khan understood long before you were born. The world is not divided into good men and evil men. It is divided into men who ride and men who get ridden over. And the steppe, the geography, the gods, whatever you want to call it, the steppe chose you to ride. You serve the Khan for 16 more years. You are with him at the fall of Beijing. You are with him when the Tangut Empire ends. You are with him when he turns 65 and the body that conquered the world finally begins to fail him. You are not in the tent the night he dies in 1227. No one is, except the closest generals. The cause is hidden. Some say a fall from a horse. Some say an assassin's blade. Some say a Tangut princess. The truth dies with him, the way he wanted. But you are in the funeral procession. The Khan ordered that his burial place be kept secret forever. So the Mongol soldiers ride for 40 days carrying his body, and every living thing they pass, every shepherd, every traveler, every animal, they kill. So no one can ever say which road they took. So no one can ever find him. You ride with that procession. You become one of the killers of strangers on a road that leads nowhere on any map. When it is done, the soldiers who buried him are killed by other soldiers. Those soldiers are killed by other soldiers. The location of Genghis Khan's tomb has never been found and never will be, and you are one of the last men alive who could have led someone to it. You die an old man, in your 80s, in a felt tent on the same steppe you were born on. Your grandsons rule from the Pacific to the Danube. The empire you helped build is the largest contiguous empire in human history. 40 million people died beneath its banners. 16 million men today carry the Khan's DNA in their blood. And here, in your last moment, you understand the thing no historian will ever quite write down. Genghis Khan did not conquer the world because he was cruel. The world had cruelty before him and after him. He conquered it because he was the first man in history to understand that silence is louder than screaming. That a single arrow, delivered by a single boy, could empty a city without ever drawing a sword. You were that boy. You were the silence before the storm. And the cities you rode through, the faces you passed, the bread you ate on the doorstep of a man who knew he was already dead. They are the part of history no one will remember, except you. And now, for these 15 minutes, them.